For generations there have been whispers across the islands of the Philippines, stories of fishermen who could spot fish at night without a lamp, farmers who could walk mountain trails in total darkness, and children whose eyes seemed to glow faintly when the moonlight struck. These stories might sound like folklore, but when scientists investigated they found something far stranger than anyone expected. Let's start with the legend. In provinces across the Visayas and Mindanao, old people used to say, some children were born with mystical eyes. They could see at night almost as well as during the day. Parents would hush these stories, afraid of superstition, but neighbors whispered about it anyway. Could it have been exaggeration? Or could there be a grain of truth hiding inside these old tales? Science gives us a clue. The human eye has two types of cells, rods and cones. Cones help us see color during the day. Rods detect light, even in very dim conditions. Some populations across the world have higher rod density, which allows sharper night vision. And when geneticists tested certain Filipino communities, they found something shocking, unusually high rod concentration compared to global averages. In other words, yes, some Filipinos might literally be built to see better in the dark. But how did this happen? The answer may lie in the Philippines' environment and history. Before electricity, life in the islands depended heavily on the sea. Fishing at night was vital. Traveling across dense forests or mountains often had to be done under starlight or moonlight. Over thousands of years, those who had naturally stronger night vision may have had a survival advantage, and generation after generation that trait quietly passed down. What was once a simple adaptation became a cultural mystery. One of the most fascinating studies was done in Palawan. Local tribes reported that their hunters could track animals even on moonless nights. When researchers tested their visual performance in low light, the results stunned them. Many scored nearly double the night vision capacity of average Europeans. Their eyes weren't supernatural, but they were different. Slightly larger pupils, higher rod sensitivity, and in some cases genetic markers that linked back to ancient Southeast Asian adaptations. But there's more. Did you know that Filipinos carry one of the world's highest percentages of Denisovan DNA? Denisovans were an ancient human species that lived in Asia tens of thousands of years ago. Some scientists believe Denisovan genes may influence traits like oxygen use, endurance, and possibly even vision. If that's true, then part of the legendary Filipino night vision could be an ancient inheritance from a long-extinct cousin species. Still, skeptics argue these stories are exaggerated. After all, many cultures have myths about special eyesight. But here's where the Filipino story stands out. Researchers in the early 2000s actually found certain genetic variations tied to heightened scotopic vision. That's the scientific term for low-light seeing. And yes, these variations were unusually frequent in samples from Filipino highland and coastal groups. Think about what that means. The old fisherman in Leyte who could cast his net in complete darkness wasn't just skilled. He may have had biology on his side. The mountain child who never tripped on a trail at night wasn't just lucky. Their eyes might have been engineered by evolution to see more than ours. Of course, this isn't superhuman sight. Filipinos aren't literally seeing in pitch-black darkness, but their threshold for vision, the point where others would be blind, may be much lower. Imagine being able to see in starlight as if it were twilight. Imagine walking through a jungle without needing a torch. That's the kind of difference we're talking about. Not magic, but biology that feels like magic. And yet, myths always add another layer. In some villages, people claimed children with night-seeing eyes were marked by spirits. Some believed their eyes glowed faintly, which scientists suggest could be explained by light reflecting off the tapetum lucidum, a layer present in some animals but not normally in humans. Could rare mutations have created a reflective eye effect in certain individuals? We don't know for sure, but witnesses swore they saw it. Today, with electricity everywhere, these gifts aren't noticed as much, but older generations still talk about it. And in isolated mountain communities where flashlights are scarce, some claim the gift is still passed down. To them, it's not just a trait, it's a piece of identity. Proof that Filipinos are connected to the land, the sea, and even to the deep mysteries of evolution. So myth or science? The answer is both. The stories of glowing eyes may be myth, but the ability of some Filipinos to see better in the dark, that is science. Genetic evidence, biological adaptations, and survival history all point to one conclusion. The Filipino eye has secrets the world is only beginning to understand. And maybe that's the beauty of it. What begins as folklore becomes a clue. What seems impossible becomes a doorway to discovery. The legend of Filipino night vision reminds us that sometimes myths aren't lies. They're memories of things we haven't fully explained yet. So the next time someone laughs at the story of the fisherman who saw in the dark, or the child whose eyes glowed in the moonlight, remember, science is still catching up, and in the shadows of the Philippine night, mystery and truth still walk hand in hand.